In this video, we will give you an overview of Google Drive. The first thing you need to do is access google.com and then make sure you're signed in, so that if you are not signed in, at the top right here where you see my profile picture, you will see a blue box to sign in. Sign in and then select the 9 tiles for your Google applications, and then you'll see the icon, the tri-coloured triangle for Google Drive. Click on that to open it. Then you will see the web address drive.google.com. So I tend to prefer to type this in because obviously things autocomplete once you've used them a few times. So you can always type in drive.google.com if you would prefer. Once you have done this, you will be able to see all of your Google Drive folders and documents. So first thing I'm going to do is just give you a tour of this left-hand side menu of all the options, and then I'll show you a few hints and tips for the Google Drive, My Drive section, and then I'll give you an overview of one of the key settings within Google Drive. So the first thing you'll see at the top left is the Drive icon and the word Drive. So if you click on that, it will load your My Drive. The next thing you have is this New button. So that's where you can create folders, you can upload files, and you can also create new documents. So if you open this within a specific folder within your My Drive and create a new document, it will create it in that folder. You also see this More function at the bottom. So this is where you find those other tools such as forms, drawings, maps, sites, etc. You then have shared drives. So shared drives are folders where you can upload multiple documents and have different sharing permissions with your colleagues or your students. So I've got an example here. This is currently sitting empty. And if I wanted to add members, I would simply type in their name or their email address along the top here. And then before I even send that, I can choose the level of permissions I want them to have. So just to give you an overview of things, you have the manager. So they have full control over that team shared drive, and they can upload files, delete files, and also add new members and change the settings. That's maybe recommended if you want them to maybe share the ownership and share control. However, I wouldn't recommend having too many managers of a shared drive. The next thing is the content manager. So they can't add members or change the settings. They can simply do anything to do with the actual files. So they can add, edit, move, or delete these files. The next thing is the contributor. So they can only add and edit files. So they cannot delete things that are in the shared drive. So that's certainly useful if you want people to share documents, but you don't want them to be deleting things that perhaps someone else has uploaded. Saves any mistakes or errors by accident as well. You then have comments, and I find this useful if you're sharing policies or documents that you want to be reviewed by a large number of people. You can put them all in one place rather than having to email them out and gather those comments individually. If you put them all into a shared drive, you can give people the same comment access, then they can comment on these files and see what other people have put to save repetition as well. And then View is useful if you wanted to digitize your school policy documents or share any key folders or documents that you don't want edited, but you want people to have access to read. So even for professional learning purposes, this is really useful. So that's a view access there. Once you've added the people and chosen their level of access, you can then send that invitation. You can always come back and manage the members, and that's where you can review these levels of permissions, and you can always change them. You don't have to stick with that. You may want to change people's levels of permission. Certainly, if you were to be leaving the establishment, you can make someone else the manager prior to your departure so that nothing changes within that shared drive and it continue to be used. Next thing is your shared with me. So this is where everything that has been shared with you by your colleagues or the students in your class will appear. It can be a bit messy, so I don't tend to look at this too often. I tend to use the search function at the top. And if there are key files, I like to add them to my drive so that I can access them easily. So for example, with this Techie Tea Party, which is the website all these videos are hosted on, I can then right click on that And then I can add it to my drive, or I can move the location. So I'll show you in this one video. So I can add to a workspace, or for this one, this PDF, here we go, add to my drive. So if I've already added it to my drive, you'll have noticed with those last couple, they're already in my drive. So you can see the location, or you can move them. So you can move to different folders. And it just saves you getting lost. I mean, if I scroll through this, you'll see quite a lot of files in here, and it will keep going. So you don't want to have that too cluttered, and it can become a bit too much for you to manage. So I don't tend to focus there. If you do want to find something specific, you can always search it. If I go into applications, and I can see all the application things that have been shared with me here along the top. Next thing that's really useful, I find if I've been working on something recently and I don't want to search it, I can't remember the name of the file, I will go into this recent tab on the left hand side. And then this is where you can see all the things I've worked on today. So at the top, it will be everything that you've been on in the last day, or however recently it was, yesterday, earlier this week and last month. So that's really useful for you to get access really quickly. If there is something you're working on regularly, I would advise putting into your priority so that you can quickly access it there and you don't have to scroll through. And you can also star some files. So if I right click on any file, I can add it to starred, and then that will appear in here. Now you'll see this is not very well used. I wouldn't have hundreds of files starred anyway. It doesn't make much of a workflow sense. These are really for your key things that you need to access. Think of it as your favorites, things that you want to access regularly and not have to spend too much time finding. You then have the bin, which is where you can find all the files that you have binned recently. And if you think, oh, I got rid of that in error, you can simply right click and restore. You can always delete forever. What is worth noting is the storage at the bottom. If you are using your education account, you have got unlimited storage as a teacher or a student, so you really do not have to worry about videos or pictures taking up too much space, unlike when you're using your My Documents on your PC or your work laptop. So having unlimited storage means I would really recommend that you back up files onto here, certainly things that take up a lot of space, such as the videos or the pictures that you use regularly for learning and teaching. To do that, you'll need to go into your My Drive. And then I'm working on a Chromebook, but it works the same on a MacBook or on a Windows laptop. So what you would need to do is access your My Documents and have that open over the top. So I'm going to access on a Chromebook, it's called Files. So this would be your My Documents on your PC or Windows device. And then all you would do is highlight all of the documents that you want to back up, click on them all, drag them in, and you'll see the box in the background has highlighted, and there's a small box that says drop files to upload them instantly. If I do that, you will then see this bar along the side, and it will show me the progress of these files being uploaded. And you'll see that's 5 files uploaded quickly. As always, if you do have hundreds of things to back up, I wouldn't recommend doing it at a time when you're maybe going to host a webinar or you're going to be busy creating documents for your work, as it will slow down your internet ever so slightly, certainly if it's a lot of videos. Next thing to note is your settings at the top right here. So this is just the settings cog. You need to click on this and then click on settings. And then again, you'll see how much storage you have used. And there are the options to convert uploads. You'll see my cursor hasn't yet appeared over the top of this, and this has been an issue over the last couple of days. So we'll wait for the cursor to reappear. Here it is. So you can see how much storage. As I've said, this isn't an issue for education accounts. If this was your personal, it will give you the option to upgrade your storage. You then get the option to convert uploads. So if you're like me and use Google Classroom a lot, you want to be able to make copies of the documents for every student. So if you've been using Word and PowerPoint a lot recently, this is where I would be recommending that you have these in Google Docs format so that you can make best use of Google Classroom. There is the option to have these convert automatically on upload. Now, I don't do a lot of heavy editing of Word or PowerPoint documents. Mine are very basic and using the standard fonts that come within Microsoft Word. However, if you do make use of additional fonts that have been installed on your school computers, for example, this is Zoom Primary font, that will not come over when you convert the upload or when you back it up into your Google Drive. So if you do have things that you want to maintain that font in and they don't need to be edited, I'd recommend backing them up as a PDF so that they maintain their formatting. But everything else that's using Arial font, etc., convert that, and then it will mean that you can create copies of that in your classroom. Obviously, the best workflow is to create these files already in Google Docs and Google Slides. But if you have got things from previous years that you want to make use of, certainly give that a try. If it doesn't work with the formatting, simply untick that box and it will keep its format. So I always have that switched on. The rest aren't too important. You can change the priority to be your default page. So that would mean when you go into your Google Drive, it loads your priority page instantly rather than your My Drive. And that again is just a workflow. So it means that you can customize your experience so that if you do work best out of priority, it loads that straight away and saves you getting distracted by the other folders and files that you have. Select Done when you're finished changing your settings. The last thing I'll show you is just another way of customizing your experience. So along the top here, we have the option to change the view. So I like to have mine in grid view, so I have everything organized along the way. But list view is often preferred by others. It makes it a bit more like your My Documents as well. So you can have your list and you can see when it was last modified. You can change this so it is the most recent thing as well. And then there's also grid view. So the grid view is what I have, and you will see I have got my folders in different colors, and that's just for a visual nicety in my Google Drive. It's not a must have, but if you do like to color code depending on your subjects or the classes you teach, feel free to do this. And simply you right click, change the color, choose the color, and then it will change it. If you have shared a folder with other people, it will not keep the color with it. It will simply go back to the grey. That is everything for this Google Drive demo. Hope it's been of use, and thank you.